What's up everyone, and welcome back for some chilling neighborly nightmares. Today we have 3 super creepy true stories about the last people you'd want living next door. When you buy a home, you hope to get along with nearby residents. But sometimes you end up stuck beside people who do way more than just annoy you. We're talking hair-raising things that make you feel unsafe in your own house. So grab a flashlight and stay close as we uncover what these sinister neighbors did to torment innocent folks in their homes. You'll definitely want to check your locks after this one. Peeper Steve. Our first story comes from a dad named James, who had just moved his family into their dream home. Everything seemed perfect at first. Nice neighborhood, good schools, big backyard for his twin 6-year-olds to play. The only peculiar thing was their neighbor Steve, who lived in the house to the right. Stevie was a middle-aged guy who lived alone and mostly kept to himself. The few times James tried to chat with him, Steve gave off weird standoffish vibes and had a strong accent that made him tough to understand. Still, James wanted to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. But that became difficult one summer day when some questionable things started happening. James was doing yard work while his twins Sam and Robbie played in their little blow-up pool. At one point, he noticed Steve peering out of his upstairs window, which faced James's backyard. When Steve noticed James, he quickly walked away, almost like he'd been caught doing something. James shook it off until later that evening. The twins were back in the pool as the sun went down, and James and wife Carol were cooking dinner inside. Suddenly, Robbie ran in saying he saw a flashing light coming from Steve's window, the one overlooking their backyard. The twins confirmed it looked like a camera flash. James felt his protective dad instincts kick into high gear. He brought the kids inside and told Carol what happened. She also feared the worst, that Steve could be filming the twins. James marched next door to confront Steve, but oddly he refused to answer the door, making the whole thing even fishier. A few weeks went by without incident, until one restless night when James and Carol were startled awake by their kids screaming. Robbie said he woke up to see someone standing right outside his ground floor bedroom window, and once again, there was a camera flash. James peered out his own window and noticed Steve was watching from that same upstairs window. Now convinced Steve was terrorizing his precious children, James called the police and filed a report. But still, the frightening events escalated over the next few weeks, with more alarming late-night incidents outside the kids' window. Spooked by the trauma of it all, the family decided to skip town and move far away for their safety. Construction creeper. And that brings us to our next seriously creepy neighbor encounter that went down at an apartment. College student Amanda had recently rented a place in a big building close to campus. Overall, it was pretty nice, apart from thin walls and windows facing the outdoor corridor where people walked by. But Amanda didn't mind the small annoyances too much. Little did she know things were about to take a deeply disturbing turn with the vacant apartment next to hers. It started on a typical weeknight as Amanda was winding down before bed. She could faintly hear music from somewhere outside. Figuring it was just normal city noise, she hopped into bed and put on a video. But soon another sound invaded. A mechanical drilling coming through her bedroom wall. Annoyed that construction was apparently happening past 11 p.m., Amanda paused her video and marched over to investigate. The noise got louder near the window of the empty neighboring apartment. Strange, she thought. Amanda opened her window to peer inside, discovering not only loud drilling but pop music as well. Perplexed but determined, she decided to ask whoever was in there to kindly knock it off so people could sleep. The vacant apartment had a window over a small set of stairs, so Amanda positioned herself a few steps down for the best vantage point. Peering inside, she saw a sight that made her blood turn to ice. 4 unfamiliar middle-aged men staring back at her. They looked like they were in their 30s or 40s and had stopped mid-construction to gawk. Amanda stared in horror at the sight before her. 4 unfamiliar middle-aged men were stationed inside the vacant apartment, tools and lumber strewn about. They looked to be in their 30s or 40s and had stopped their construction project mid-drill to gawk wordlessly back at Amanda's unexpected presence. The pounding pop music echoed through the empty room. Amanda stood frozen, gripping the windowsill in fear as 2 of the most alarming men began leering at her with intense stares. Their mouths hung open as they brazenly sized her up, faces filled with twisted intentions. The worst offender hefted a hammer suggestively, his eyes trailing Amanda's body, while the other let out a spine-chilling chuckle. Terror flooded Amanda's senses. Without hesitation, she slowly began backing away from the nightmarish scene, every instinct pleading for her to flee. The creeps watched her every move, but made no attempts to hide their revolting ogling. Amanda quickened her pace towards her own unit, nearly stumbling in panic. Finally, safely inside, she locked the door with quivering hands. Her heart pounded as she struggled to process what had just transpired. Who were these vile men? And why were they blasting teeny-bopper pop music while destroying the empty apartment well past midnight? Still shaken to the core, Amanda desperately wanted to call the police, but ultimately exhaustion overcame her racing mind. Somehow she managed to sleep through the continued noises penetrating her thin bedroom walls, but Amanda awoke around 1 a.m. to aggressive, loud hammering. At her absolute wit's end, she threw on a robe and bravely went out to firmly order the men to stop for the night. However, Amanda was greeted by the same spine-chilling scene at the window, those 4 creeps staring back with emotionless, foreboding expressions. Deeply rattled, knowing she lived beside these threatening strangers, Amanda carefully retreated, locking her world away from them once more. One question echoed endlessly in her mind. Had she seen the last of these phantom workmen? Or was this only the beginning? Staring stalkers. Our last chilling tale focuses on Sarah and Mitch, a young couple who found themselves the victims of some deeply disturbing neighborly staring. They were over the moon to rent a cute little house, especially because it came with a huge private backyard. What they didn't expect was the total lack of privacy from the home behind theirs. Soon after moving in, Sarah and Mitch made an unsettling discovery. Their master bedroom window perfectly lined up across the yard with one of their neighbors' windows. At first, they barely noticed as they excitedly moved their things in, but gradually Sarah started feeling uneasy pangs, like eyes were on her whenever creeped-out stepped foot in their new yard. Mitch shook it off until he too could no longer ignore the nagging, creeped-out vibe coming from that rectangular window. Unable to deny it any longer, Sarah confirmed her boyfriend's fears. There was indeed a man and woman who would post up there daily, just silently staring at the young couple for uncomfortably long periods. Mitch and Sarah did their best to pretend they didn't notice the awkward gawking, but after days on end of being watched while gardening and relaxing on their own private property, Mitch attempted a friendly smile and wave. The stone-faced couple peered back blankly, not even flinching a muscle. Growing desperate, Sarah finally convinced Mitch they could no longer tolerate this unexplained behavior from their neighbors. The couple marched right up to the adjoining house and gave a firm knock, ready to demand just what was going on with all the obsessive staring. When the front door creaked open, Mitch and Sarah were shocked to see not the familiar middle-aged couple, but instead a young man with a sketchy, annoyed demeanor. Caught off guard, they asked if the man and woman they'd seen by the window lived there too. The shifty character claimed he was the sole occupant of the dark, eerie house and seemed eager to abruptly end the conversation. Thoroughly freaked by this interaction, Mitch protectively rushed Sarah away. Things escalated quickly from there. Ominous late-night knocks sounded on Mitch and Sarah's window. Muffled yells emitted from the mystery couple's house. And most alarmingly, every time the rattled couple peered out their window, there were the stone-faced watchers emotionlessly glancing back. Feeling violated in the safety of their own home, Mitch and Sarah decided they must move or build a tall privacy fence. But either solution would take time and money, so for now they avoided their backyard altogether, making sure to shut all blinds tight each night, because the terrifying truth was becoming clear. Their neighbors' sinister staring had only just begun. All right, guys. After those 3 totally terrifying true stories, I don't know about you, but I'll be double-checking all my window blinds tonight. Let's do a quick recap of the creepiest moments. First, we had the twins noticing cameras flashing outside their window in the dead of night. Then we had the horrified college girl stumbling on a gang of leering construction creeps leching at her next door. And finally, the young couple intensely stared down in their own backyard, even late at night when knocks sounded at their window. Shudders. I don't know which one freaks me out more. So, if you made it this far without checking over your shoulder, hit that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe for more fear-inducing true tales every week. Just maybe don't watch these right before bed, or when home alone, or if you hear strange sounds outside. But for now, sleep tight, my nightmarish neighbors. And bye for now.